I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons is a 2024 novel by Peter S. Beagle. It is a story that feels whimsical and what you could kind of say is in the tradition of classic fantasy or in a style that many would call classic fantasy. But, I'll just use classic fantasy for now because I don't want to discuss the labels. There's definitely a discussion to be had there. But this definitely reminded me some of Blood in the Mist, and also, as Raph Blue Tax pointed out, Farmer Giles of Ham. Whimsy is a good label for it, whimsical fantasy, and there is certainly action in it as well, though, and other things, which we will get into here. The story opens with a great wind and some fire, and it's not Pentecost, even though I read this on Pentecost. There's talk of kings, and some wise women do magic. Now, these kings do not seem to be humans. And then we get an introduction to Gaius Aurelius Constantine Heliogabalus Thrax, a young man that prefers the name Robert. There's also the fact that he is a dragon exterminator that doesn't enjoy his job, which he inherited from his father. He feels a certain, maybe metaphysical or whatever kinship to dragons instead, and has actually dreams of getting out of his class to be a prince's valet. That just seems very noble and kind of above him, but something he really wants to do. There's also a princess who doesn't quite want to be one, not exactly. Her name is Cerise. She's beautiful and falls for a prince named Reginald, who I'm not going to say he's like this giant dolt, but he's kind of more of the knight in shining armor character, and definitely is not the hero of the story for the most part. This world building is interesting, though, as things like women get educated and not men, right? So all the princes are illiterate for the most part, and it'd be uncouth of them to be illiterate. But the kingdom of Belmontaigne is rather small and, of course, is on a mountain. You can just tell by the name. Of course, there are dragons in this story, too, and they range from rat size to very large. And they're treated largely like vermin, right? Hence the title Dragon Exterminator, though some do prefer the title Dragon Slayer, which you can kind of see the ideas going on there with this whimsy in a very modern sense, but also, well, kind of harkening back to older stories, with dragons like Beowulf, right? So you definitely don't want dragons infesting your home, though, and they will do that in large number. You do have very large dragons, but you also have very small ones. While it does have a certain older style, it kind of plays with this in a very contemporary way, more postmodern maybe than modern, and I think it's fine, actually. It works rather well. The characters do tend to get what they want in a sense that maybe is a little bit more not contemporary, but it's also dark, and the themes explored are, well, they're very well done, but like I said, it's very simple. I feel like you could actually read this and be rather young and still get what you should out of it. Now, I haven't read anything by Beagle before, so I'm not sure if that's just all of his works. I don't really know. There are some nice things here, like he uses the Irish word for whiskey, which I thought was a nice touch. I was like, I feel like that would have gone over my head if I didn't know it already. It also does seem like high fantasy at times, like a secondary world, but it's not, right? As Egypt is mentioned, and so is Latin, and certain historical European kings, and so forth. In a way, it feels vaguely like Lyonesse because of that, and because of the whimsical factor, by Jack Vance. But I felt like Lyonesse is a little darker. You definitely have some dark things here, but it's definitely not as depressing. Though, again, this has more of the contemporary commentary, but it doesn't really feel like a contemporary commentary. It feels like a story, and there's kind of both in there. So I guess if you don't care for that commentary, you could ignore it. The stuff about gender and class and whatnot. But as far as the story goes, I could connect with Robert rather easily. I could understand his plight, and I could sympathize with him, and Cerise too, to an extent. Not exactly because I was never a young girl, but still very, very well done human characters. And, young human characters. It is a coming of age of sorts as well. And it's rather short. I feel like I haven't done this story justice exactly. I am really out of it, but I wanted to get this one read and get a review out for it while it's still new. So, anyways, Liam from Liam's Lyceum, I will